Hey, Jon-Paul from the Return to Moria team here, and if you haven't heard, the game is coming out on Steam and Xbox, along with a big, huge update we're calling the Golden Update on August 27th. If you haven't checked out the game since launch last October, a lot has changed. We've executed on multiple major updates within our roadmap, and I'm going to walk you through a lot of the big changes that have happened in the last 10 months. First, let's talk about crossplay. Really excited about this. This means players on Steam, PlayStation 5, Xbox, and the Epic Game Store are all going to get to play together. That means if you've got friends who have played the game but are on a different platform, you've got a friend or a family member who have an Xbox but you like to play on Steam, you're going to get to jump in and play together. You can also use any gameplay or any saved game that you have, and you'll be able to bring your friends in, show off your epic builds, show off your post-game dwarf. We're really excited about this. Here you can actually see an example. Each one of these dwarves is on a different platform. So crossplay is coming on the August 27th update. Next, let's talk about Sandbox Mode. When the game launched, it launched with Campaign, a linear dwarf story where you see things, learn things about the dwarves, and uncover the mysteries of the mountain.
Doors of Durin! What's wrong with that? I've never seen runes with such shadow. No wonder we couldn't get it open from the other side.
Sandbox is different. While Campaign is still a bit non-linear, it does take you through a story. There is a beginning, middle, and an end as you uncover a Lord of the Rings adventure. Sandbox, however, is much more non-linear. You can get thrown into areas that are a lot harder. The biomes are scrambled. The unlocking progression is different. Your start is even harder as you don't have all of the things available to you. It's going to be great if you really like that sort of jump in on your own open world survival experience. Sandbox Mode is going to be for you. And if you love Lord of the Rings, Campaign is going to be for you. Or play them both. A lot of our players love playing both. And you can take your dwarf back and forth. So unlocks that are exclusive to Sandbox, bring them into Campaign, and vice versa. One of the big interface quality of life changes we made was the map. We color coded it, we added more information, we made it a little easier to the eye. It's now colorblind friendly, a lot easier to jump in, figure out kind of where you need to go within the map.
There are many treasures deep beneath the mountains of the dwarf.
At launch, the game had a lot of atmosphere. The soundscape of the game was mostly around feeling like you were alone under the mountain. But we heard the community, they wanted more music. The music that we had was really great, not only the singing, but the epic score. So we wanted to add in more music throughout the game. What you're hearing now is the hearth music. This is music that plays when you are back in a base. It greets you with this kind of pleasant music that tells you you're in a bit safer place. You're kind of in the cozy game right now. But if you're out adventuring, you will get one of the many adventuring scores that will play. You can hear it here. What we really enjoy with this is that when an orc sees you, you get into combat, the exploration music transitions into combat music.
Perfect! That's one more for me!
And then at the end of the fight, it will transition back to the exploration music. Another big change that we've made over the last few months is difficulty settings. The game at launch was a bit too easy for large groups and pretty hard for a player that played on their own. So you can see here we added a whole lot of ways that you can customize the game, change the difficulty. You can play all the way up to hard for a larger, that we recommend for a larger group, down to story where the orcs aren't really that big of a deal, but they're still around. And you can go in and you can micromanage any one of these settings. So we think now you can tweak it so that you can play it however you want. And you can change these in real time. So if you're in the middle of a really hard boss fight, you just want to get to the next story beat, you can go in and play it. Or you're finding the game isn't really making you stretch yourself as a player and you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, crank those things up. The difficulty settings changes leads right into talking about our changes to combat.
Of course there are trolls. I hate trolls.
With the combat changes that we've made, we've added a lot to make it feel a little less loose, make it feel more grounded. You see, we've got more knockbacks, we've got more ability to push the orcs around. We've done iterations on the visual effects and the sound effects when you hit. You can see I'm using a runed weapon here, which now this is the lightning strike one that knocks people back, knocks orcs back. And you can really see the sparks flying off of it. You can see how the troll is knocking me around. So a lot more iterations to feel combat, to make combat feel a lot better. We think you guys will like the changes. And at the end of a fight, there is a lot more drops to pick up. So from launch, we heard the feedback that fights didn't feel like they were rewarding enough. You weren't getting enough. Now there's a lot of unique loot that the orcs drop, that the trolls drop. And you can end up with a fight at the end of a horde and have an environment that looks a lot like this. And so we added in a lot of quality of life changes. One is the ability to hold the pickup up button and just hoover in everything around you. Makes a big difference when you've got this much stuff on the ground to pick up. And once I've got all of that loot, I come back to the base. This is where some of our other quality of life additions really come in. We heard loud and clear players wanted to manipulate their inventory in more powerful ways. So two of the big ones I'm going to show you here is the ability to deposit similar. Come in, open up a chest or any kind of storage container. You can hit this button and everything that you have can jump into the container that's similar to what's there. You can also hit the sort button and it will resort your inventory, both the storage and your own pack. Another good way to stay organized and consolidate those stacks into one place. Another big change that's coming with the Golden Update at the end of August is cooking. When we launched, we had a lot of meals that we felt like were really dwarfy. They were really fun, they were in fiction, but the mechanics weren't quite there. You would take your rations with you out as you adventured and you would eat meals together with your friends back at the base. But there wasn't much reason why you would pick one versus the other. And so with this update, we're adding in new kinds of meals. So instead of just one generic kind of meal, there's now breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Each one, when eaten at the right time, gives you a different buff. And so we think this is going to enhance the core loop of the game, give you a reason why you'd want to go seek out different ingredients like parsnips or eggs or cranberries. So we think people are going to enjoy this particular change to cooking. Another place we spent a lot of time iterating was the building system. Here is just a quick demonstration of being able to snap walls and roof pieces in a lot better. Way less frustrating than it was originally at launch. We also added a whole lot more stuff that you can do. We added in furnishings, lighting, decorations, lots more building pieces. We even rearranged whole sections of the world so that things would be more on angle and snap better. Here I'm running through just an example of a kind of big base that you can make with the new parts that we've added and the updates to the building system. Speaking of the building system, we also felt like there were two things we really wanted to do to help improve the game. We wanted to be able to give players who loved building an ability to buff their dwarves so that they could build even better. We also felt like there's a lot of really cool places to explore under Moria. There weren't enough rewards to get, so we added a whole lot of new things to collect and to find. One of the big ones is books and scrolls, and here you can see I've found and collected them, and I can bring them back to my base, and I can deposit them to these special gameplay shelves that I've built. And once I have enough, I can study the shelf and get this new build lore buff. The build lore buff gives you a percentage chance that every time I build something, it will be free, that the materials just won't be deducted from my inventory. So it gives you kind of a fun little press your luck when you're building. And so here I'm going to demonstrate it by using these new tavern signs that we've added. I just really like those. So I'm going to go ahead and build a couple. You can see the first one was free right away. So you can see how if you're trying to do a big mega base build, you want to keep that buff going. So that's just a quick look at some of the things that we've changed, iterated, and upcoming will add into the game in our new update. If you haven't checked out the game since launch, check it out again. Come and join our Discord. You will see a lot of players that have been playing for a while. They've got a lot of tips and tricks. You can read blogs about the things that we've added and the things that are going to get added. We also encourage you to check out our Steam page. There's a lot of information on there. We're really looking forward to everybody seeing the Golden Update and continuing to play The Lord of the Rings: Return to Moria.